And we're live. Hi, everyone. This is Sarah with Connect Our Elders. And today I'm here with Infinity Dawn. She's a certified life coach, and she primarily works with middle-aged and older women who have lost partners to either divorce or to death. And she helps them feel whole again and get on with living their best life. Thank you for being here, Infinity.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. So please share with me and share with the audience who you are and why you do what you do.
Okay, so my name is Infinity. That's who I am. I was raised by hippies, so it is my real name. And a little bit about who I am. Let's see, hang on. 1 second, I'm having a technical issue and my brain doesn't work in two places at once very easily. So I was married very young, and I was divorced, and I'm a divorced mom of 4 now. I was married at 21, divorced at 36. And I got kicked out of my church for filing for legal separation. So I have a passion for helping people that are going through a very lonely time in their life, that whether they lost a partner through death or divorce, or they have never had a partner to begin with. That's where my heart is.
It would seem that experience must have been quite traumatic for you, because not only were you losing or parting ways with your spouse, but you lost your entire church family due to it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Not only did I have, the normal things that, a typical divorce situation it requires, but I also did lose my entire social circle at the same time. So it really took a lot. It was the first time I've ever really gone through a depression in my life, because I'm generally positive person. But, there's so many similarities to things that, I didn't realize before I went through it how many people have experienced religious abuse, religious persecution, but it's really common. So I found community in that as well.
It sounded like, not only losing your identity, right, of being married to this man for so long, but then losing your identity, which had become the church community. So you and I have talked about this, but it's really interesting the situation that you went through. Before we move forward and talk more deeply about, transitioning from something like that and rebuilding, why don't you share with me and the audience about your coaching business called The Infinity Shift?
Okay, so I've been divorced 9 years, almost 9. I think it's been like 8.5, something like that, years so far. And in that time, it took me a long time to really get on my feet again. I didn't really.
I'm not sure who that is. I'm sorry. It just says Facebook user. So thank you. I'm sure that you're one of our favorites too. Okay. So
wait, what was the question? Oh, that's right. Coaching business. That's right. So it took me a long time to really get back on my feet. I had these little kids I was trying to raise by myself. So I built this business very slowly. I got my coaching experience working with Weight Watchers. I was a Weight Watchers leader for 5 years after my divorce. And I loved coaching. I loved helping people, in their struggles, and, helping them change mindset and all that good stuff. But weight loss was never really a painful point for me. What was painful for me was this horrible experience that I had through my divorce and my, for lack of a better term, shunning. So I changed. I took everything that I knew, and then I added on an actual life coaching certification, and I built this business called The Infinity Shift. And I've identified 4 stages of single life. Basically, I work with anyone who is not in a healthy, committed, happy relationship. So that would include anyone from people in an unhappy relationship that are seeing I guess we're left to right, that are seeing the end of the road coming, all the way to, going through that separation and experiencing the grief. And then stage 3 so that's stage 1 and 2. Stage 3 is where you are over that last relationship before you start looking for the next one. this is also where my, my never have been married. A lot of those women fall into this third category. This would be the growth stage. So it's all about changing mindset, addressing patterns, addressing paradigms. And then the goal is to get to stage 4, which is the groove stage. And that is both where women are, and men are, boldly living their best lives. So regardless of relationship,
before they come together. Do you find that if people don't deal with their previous relationship and whatever trauma that may have caused, or anything that's causing them to hang on to the past, that it's almost nearly impossible to move forward in a healthy way with somebody new? Is that generally the case?
Yes, I will say that, because we don't really realize we don't realize the things that are untrue about what we have accepted about our realities. That probably could have been said better.
I get what you're saying.
We have to deal with the thoughts and the patterns that our minds have taken on over the last years, or decades, with the last person, before we can move on. Because, like, say even through childhood, say one of your parents was a narcissist, you learned how to get love from a narcissist. So guess who you're going to be attracted to? Those people that are attracted to those traits in you. So you have to deal with those things if you don't want to repeat them. And the same thing happens. It's not just childhood, but if you've been married for a long time with a certain type of partner, you have to deal with those patterns. And it's not necessarily, diving into your past, but recognizing it in the present, and making concerted efforts to change your behavior until you start experiencing the possibilities of a different kind of relationship.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. By the way, our admirer was Erin Smith, which we both know.
Hi, Erin.
Care partners. And Tammy,
congratulations on your engagement. That's really exciting.
I know, isn't that so exciting? We have another person, Tammy Moses. She watches often. She said her experience, she called it a necessary divorce, and she's celebrating almost 11 years of freedom. Thank you for watching, Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy.
Okay. So why do you focus on middle-aged individuals and older than middle-aged?
So, I mean, besides the fact that that's what I am, that's where I am. We're just dealing with different things. There's one thing when you are single in your 20s and early 30s, it's just you're just going through different life stuff than you are when you hit middle age-ish. And I don't want to even put a specific number on it, because we all have different things. But typically, our children are older, or moved out completely, or we never had kids. Our bodies are aging. They're not so young and supple. The concept of, like, online dating, if you've been married for a very long time and suddenly cast into the single world, is bizarre, because we all grew up, before the 90s, and we married, if we married young or married older, if we're before that, like, it's confusing and daunting. Our baggage is sometimes more, I hate to use that term. We do have baggage. We just have
to. It is. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah. Sometimes it is just more deep. It's deeper in our souls. If we've had, parenting experiences that also were compounded by marriage experiences, we have firm set beliefs in what love is and what a partnership is supposed to look like. And so it's more challenging sometimes.
And this is regardless of sex, right? These issues exist whether you're male or female. This is just based on your human experiences in in your upbringing, but also prior relationships.
And I mean, all humans, we only have a certain amount of time on the clock. So I understand the urgency that that being single or losing a partner in the middle of life, or even in the deep into the second half, it can feel like you're running out of time, and the younger folk don't quite get it, but we do. So that's why I have a heart for people that are feeling all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Who else might look to you for support?
So if you go to my, my pages and my website, everything is branded for women and women over 35. So, but at the same time, I still get a lot of men that come to me. So I do offer one-on-one coaching for men. And then, like I mentioned earlier, women that have never been married, or men that have never been married. That's a painful situation too. For if you envisioned your life where you have a partner and you have children, and you're dealing with things too. Some of them are similar, but there's a pain there too, and also the feeling of running out of time. So those are the two other. Let's see, was there anybody else? I think that's about it. And people younger than 35 also that just resonate with some of the issues that we're having as we're older.
Mhm. What
So
about, so not all relationships work out, right? I mean, for whatever reason, and some last longer than others, right? But what if, these people where it's just multiple marriages, marriage after marriage, or, failed relationship after failed relationship? Is that an indicator that there's something internal going on? Because how can it possibly always be the other person?
right, no, I agree, and it's funny because I just started getting an echo. Is that me?
I don't hear an echo.
Oh crap! What happened?
You
Okay,
sound
well
fine on this end.
that's good because I have like a total constant echo right now. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, that's going to be distracting for my ADHD brain, but that's okay. We're just going to muscle through it. So yeah, so it does indicate that there may be something going on. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you per se, but maybe looking at what you're attracted to could factor in. But my dad's been married multiple times, and I've always
Mhm.
called him a hopeless romantic. He is a man that's not afraid to commit. There's the benefit. Like, if you've
Yeah,
been married multiple times, that means you do believe in love. So
right. Which
I
can
hear a
be a
lot
very
of people.
positive
Yes,
thing.
yeah, I hear a lot of people getting down on themselves, like, oh my gosh, I've been divorced twice. Okay, so you've been divorced. That means you made a commitment to get married twice. Like that's a hard thing to do. Some people have a hard time committing even once. So I
That's
do think,
I like that perspective. I like that positive outlook on that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
There's Go ahead.
So you were saying that, so your primary focus is middle-aged women and up, but you can do some ongoing coaching with men. What do all of these people, or what might all these people have in common?
So anyone that's been through the death of a spouse or divorce, um, their issues are very similar. Like they say the most stressful things in life are death of a spouse, and then divorce. Like those are three things that are really difficult in life. So they're going to have very similar issues. So
Mhm.
the stages 1 and 2 really cover all of that in there. The denial, the shock, although there's a little less shock when it comes to divorce, contrasting emotions, bargaining, letting go, the stages of grief,
Yeah.
acceptance, and then also the reframing of who you are and what your future is going to look like. And then
Mhm.
people that have never been married, they might resonate more with the third and fourth stages. But it's still so important for all of them to go through all 4 stages, because we've all faced loss in our life and maybe not figured out, how to look at it differently. Some of us are stuck in that old story where, like, have you ever known someone where end up talking about their ex-husband when you go to their house for dinner? Like, that's just they're still stuck in it. So
Mhm.
we all have those in common.
Tammy was just saying the resilience of people who go through all of this is astounding.
I
I
agree.
I would have to agree with that. Um, what's
Divorce is a brave choice. It can be a very brave choice. Typically, it is. It's a
Mhm.
very difficult choice because you are admitting, you are accepting that people are going to judge you. People are going to not understand. You're going to lose friends. You're going to, you're going to have to deal with a whole lot of stuff. So yeah, the
Mhm.
resilience factor
Mhm.
is huge, and it takes a lot of guts to file for divorce.
I've been very surprised in recent years of how many situations I've heard of, or have had, the adult children of elderly clients, right, where they're getting divorced in their 70s. I mean, after being married for 40, 50 years. And I think, wow, I mean, divorce is hard already, but then after you've spent that many years with
True.
someone, I can't even fathom the difficulty of that transition.
Yep, no kidding. I was just researching this actually, on the NCBI. It's like a government resource, the U.S. National Library of Medicine,
Hmm.
and they did a study about divorce. And you hear a lot about, like, our country's not the same. We have such a high divorce rate, but the most commonly, so according to these studies, the most commonly reported major contributors to divorce were lack of commitment, infidelity, and conflict slash arguing. And the most common final straw, you get to that moment, the most common final straw reasons were infidelity, domestic violence, and substance use. These are not bad reasons to get divorced. Like, those are the most common reasons. Yes, there are the fringe, like, I just didn't feel like it anymore, or I just got married too quick and, it's over in a
Hmm.
month. Those are
Hmm.
real reasons to let go. And some people aren't ready for that until later in life.
You're right, right. I'm actually surprised because I figured it would be the whole, irreconcilable differences, but
Right.
it's that study is showing that it's infidelity, domestic abuse, and substance abuse.
Yep.
Wow, very interesting. What's the most challenging, based on your experience and your studies? What are the most challenging aspects of losing a partner to death or to divorce?
I mean, my mind immediately goes to the obvious things, like the judgment that we talked about, judgment of others, the betrayal of friends, and your in-law family, um, sometimes your own family. The just the fact of being lonely all of a sudden, the practical stuff. Oh, I just wanted to say, like, even with a death, you can still feel judgment. Like, if you move on too fast, or like that kind of thing is real. Like, I don't know. Don't get me on my soapbox, but it is nobody's business to tell you when is too soon to move on, because nobody knows what was in your marriage. Um, anyway, so the practical things, like, suddenly you have to pay all the bills, or suddenly you have to take out the trash every week. I don't know. There's just so many, like, little practical things. um a loss of the dream, uh that's a really difficult thing. But the most challenging, honestly, is what we've already touched on, is unlearning all of those unhelpful thoughts that were cemented into your idea of what is normal. um, those are called paradigms. Like, the way you look at life, the way you think things are, that's your paradigm. And if you have had abusive or narcissistic patterns in your life from others, from family members, if you've been in those situations, um, and even just things that you believe about youth versus beauty. People equate youth with beauty. Well, that's a paradigm. That is a complete paradigm. Somebody made up the rules about what's beautiful and what's not. We have to learn to look at life differently if we can live freely. So that is the most challenging of all, is changing what reality actually is in our minds.
Hmm. Hmm. I often think about my grandmother, right?
Mhm.
Uh, when my grandfather passed away, and he passed away young, I believe he was 58.
Mm.
She lived. I
Wow.
mean, she lived until 84 years old. So she spent the duration of her life without that type of companionship. Obviously there's family, but it's a different type of companionship. And I feel that I think you touched on this. There was this guilt of moving on, accepting companionship from somebody else. And I wonder, I would be interested to do some research and really understand more fully how many people who lose a spouse due to death, right, don't ever end up moving on, not because they're not lonely and not because they don't have options, but because they feel like it's somehow wrong to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know?
Um, I mean, shame and blame, they ruin everything. You know, shame is internal, blame is external, but really it comes from the same demon of just fear. So,
Yeah.
fear that you're going to disappoint others, or fear that it's just not going to work out. A lot of people just are afraid to put themselves out there again. They
Mhm.
truly believe that they can't do any better. They truly believe that they would be better off alone. Um, and
Mhm.
you know, I really don't. I hesitate to put anything negative on that, because you can do very well on your own, but it needs to be a choice. You need to choose being alone because you
That's
know,
what you want.
yeah, you just love living on your own. It shouldn't be because you think there's nobody good enough, or there's nobody out there for you, or you know, all men
Or
are
you're not
bad.
going to find anybody else that will
Yeah,
accept you, you know, after you've
exactly.
been with somebody for so long, and then they pass away or divorce. You know, I would think that that would be one of the factors of, you know, I'm never going to find anybody else that accepts
Right.
me. It's
And
all of
sometimes
that internal head talk.
and sometimes a lot of times actually, you know, when we enter any relationship, not any relationship, I mean a romantic relationship, we have the hope that it's going to work out. Like, we wouldn't take that step into a relationship unless we saw another step coming after that. And you know, we don't marry someone or commit our lives to them without truly believing that we are going to be there in that relationship for the rest of our lives. So a lot of people lose trust in themselves when they go through a divorce. It's not just that they are, you know, sad or don't like the, you know, the options that are out there. It's that they don't trust themselves to choose wisely because they didn't the first time. It's not true. Not true. You did choose wisely the first time. You chose wisely for you, for the
Mhm.
you that was there in that moment. That was
Mhm.
that was what you knew. So the
Mhm.
best way to choose more wisely, or the best way to choose wisely for the time now, is to gird yourself up with as much education as possible, do as much deep diving as possible, you know, hire a therapist, get a coach, and they're
Mhm.
two different things.
Mhm.
So they're both really, really important. And just before you start searching for that next person.
Mhm. Do you have any advice for people who experience infidelity? You know, there's usually two schools of thought. There's no way you can recover from that. And then you've got the people that say you absolutely can. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
You mean recover from that as someone who has
Right.
been cheated
Do
on?
you believe that people can recover from that type of violation in their relationship? And it also, it's such a loaded question, I know, because I also, you know, you see these situations where maybe if they hadn't already spent all these years together, they may not be willing to recover from it. But because they've invested so much time, they are willing to try to recover from it. So,
Right.
you know, do you think that it is? Do you tend to think that it is recoverable, or most times not?
So I think all painful experiences. Oh, just did it again. Got like crazy feedback. It went away for a little while. Okay, anyway. So I believe that all painful experiences can be um, stepping stones for growth.
Okay.
And this is a very, very painful experience, and you can stay stuck in that story. Wait, were you asking like if they could stay in that same relationship, or just like even in their future if they move on,
No,
or both?
stay in that same
Okay,
relationship and you know, move
got it.
past it, or do you find that oftentimes you can't? And then also, if someone makes the choice
Hmm?
to stay, what's your advice as to how they can cope with
Okay.
that?
So what I would say is the key to keeping that relationship or moving forward is to separate the emotion from the experience. And I know that's very hard to do, but you have to recognize that you have, like, we all make our choices based on the thoughts in our heads. Like, we've all been talking about this, you know, this paradigm, this the way we see reality. And so does your partner. They have a completely different set of rules and experiences and reality in their own minds. So we can't, it's very hard to let's see, I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly. um, uh,
You're good.
you have to realize that that infidelity happens because, there's some kind of underlying issue. It's never the issue. So, and anger and resentment obviously is not going to make things better. Like, so if you want to keep the relationship, you do have to figure out what that underlying reason is. And I believe that if you address everything that's underlying, and it's not just about the spouse who cheated, so, okay, maybe they don't feel heard, but why don't they feel heard? Because they never listen anyway. So, like, both sides have to be addressed. Like, you both need your needs met. And
Yeah.
I do believe that if that happens, that healing is possible. If it's not possible, cut it off. Don't just be angry for the rest of your life. Like, I don't ever, it's a two-way street. A relationship has to heal on both sides, or it's not going to heal.
When can somebody know the right time to cut it off? The right time to throw in the towel and say, you know what, this just isn't going anywhere. It's just going around in circles.
That is a very difficult question. I am not in the business of telling people to get divorced, even though I did kind of just do that. I take it back. I mean, it's going to be a different level for everyone, and everybody comes to it with different beliefs about what marriage is and what it's supposed to be. And but I will say that trusting your gut on something, I've never met a person that has said, I wish I had tried longer in my marriage. I'm sure they exist. There's always a but I did that. But typically people stay too long in unhealthy relationships, which says something about them, that they have hope that it will work out, which is a good thing. But a lot of them stay too long because they believe lies, like, divorce is going to ruin the children or something like that.
Right.
Not true. Unhappy marriages ruin children.
I have said forever that, I take my parents into consideration, right? It's like probably a whole lot more damage was done by the fact that they did stay together. And I love them both. My dad's passed away, but, it was so toxic that has such a negative impact. And I've also told people over the years, this is just my opinion, right? Let's say that even if it's not hyper toxic with like a lot of yelling or fighting, right? But it's loveless, whatever is shown to the children, right? Whatever they observe in that relationship is what they often will, what's the word I'm looking for? Will copy, right? In their own relationships, it's what they know. So.
Exactly. Yes. When I got divorced, the what I wanted to model for my children was what a healthy relationship looked like. That was what I felt like I had neglected showing them. They really just, that's been my goal. It's really the only reason I feel the need to be in a relationship, because I want to reframe that for them. I believe that I have now, that I am now, but that is really, really important. And it's something to look at. Like, I mean, are you and your current spouse, are you touching? Are you displaying affection? Are you talking nicely to each other? These are all things that our kids are watching. And we're damaging them in a completely different way if we are ignoring these problems for very long.
Absolutely. How can people see the positive when they're grieving? And grieving can happen whether it's divorce or you've lost your loved one from death. So how can they see the positive as they're going through the grief?
I mean, I can sum it up in one word, and that is reframing. Reframing the way you're looking at your situation, the way you see past situations. We can't erase the pain that we have gone through in our lives on any level, but we can work through it. We can glean something positive, even if it was horrible. We grew because growth happens if you let it. So something horrible that happened, like a divorce or the death of a spouse, what came from that? What purpose did that serve in your life? And then where does it fit in the story of your life as a whole? we tend to awfulize our own lives. A lot of people tend to like say, oh, well, my situation is so horrible. We are all on, the hero's journey. Like, the I can't remember any of the terms now, but it's one of the things that I teach. Um, we're all on our own hero's journey. Like, all of the big stories, they have the main character, and they face this horrible thing, and they have crisis, and then they have like this moment, and there's a mentor that comes in, and when you're ready, the mentor will appear. Like, it's just, so all of us are on this journey, and it's our choice to take the next step in the journey or to stay stuck where we are. Our choice.
Yes, exactly. I think we've talked about it. I went through a very long, drawn out, in, out, back and forth, for like 6 years. But it does come to the point where you're like, you can't keep blaming the other person, right? Because you keep making the choice to stay. So, you have to eventually, I think the realization that I made was eventually you've got to get up, put on your big girl panties and say, what do I want my life to be? And what do I want it to look like? And is this situation, and this goes for like everything in life, right? But like, is this serving me? Is this helping me to accomplish the life that I want? Right. But I think, would you say it comes down to taking that personal ultimate responsibility of our own free will to choose?
I think that's beautifully said. I think that's beautifully said. I can't even add to that. Yes, I absolutely think that's true.
Okay. What advice do you have to give to the audience? I know we've kind of, gone off some tangents, and I'm sure that you and I could talk about this all day long. But what is some advice that you can give to the audience that maybe they can think about, or maybe it's some advice that, is actionable advice?
I mean, the biggest thing I want people to take away from this is that if you are living in the past, you absolutely will never, you will not move forward. So do whatever it takes to take a step forward. Like I said, go to therapy, get a coach, and the difference there I'll explain in just a second. But really, but that's the fastest way to do it. I'm sure everyone who's been through a divorce or a death, or has been single for a long time, has read a book or two on self-development or dating or that sort of thing. It's a very slow process to take yourself through that. The fastest way to changing your life is to stay accountable, stay consistent in a program. Just like, your education, you could just read books your whole life and then be educated by the time you die. Or you could, do the structured program that's like, okay, go to high school, go to college, get your degree, and then suddenly you're an expert. That's very simplified. But that would be my advice: is enroll yourself in truly making changes and taking steps forward, because life is not over. Like, we've got even 1 year, even if you have 1 year left in your life, how do you want to live it?
Right. Quality, right? You want to have a quality of life, not be miserable.
Yeah. I mean, I believe we can all have what we want. We can all
Hey, if
have
my
it.
mom's watching right now, we need to get her to move on.
Okay, come on, Mom. We
I
believe
know
in
she tells me all the time about how, like, I don't know, this guy said, "Oh, let me take you to dinner," and my mother's like, "I don't need another man." It's just dinner. And her response, "Well, you know what they're expecting if I go to dinner with him." And I'm like, that doesn't have to be that way. You
A
can't just
lot of
go to
paradigms
dinner.
talking. Yeah, that's right. And hey, if you just come out of it with a new friend, that's a new friend. I mean, that's valuable too.
Right. And all she does is work.
Yeah.
It's like, let somebody take you to dinner.
Mhm.
So hopefully she's watching right now. If not, she'll watch it later.
Maybe she will later.
How can people find you, Infinity? Or what's a
Okay.
good thing for people to think? Like, people that are watching right now, or once this becomes a YouTube video and they watch it, what's a triggering thing for them to say, I might want to talk to Infinity. I might want to start working through some of these issues.
I mean, I would say, it's a very long answer. I'm like formulating my brain. but anyone who is not in a committed, happy relationship, reach out and, let's kind of talk it out. I'm available. I'm very, at this point in my career, I'm still able to personally answer a lot of messages. I have a lot of conversations just with people that are like, I'm struggling with this. I don't know if I need this. And, then, I never see them again, or like, they're like, okay, great, my problem's solved. But really, if you want a network of support, um, reach out. I have right now, like I said, I'm working with men one-on-one, but I have a program for women that is just so powerful. So and it's in its beta phase right now. It's like 30 module or 30 lessons, and there's life work you're going to go through. And then there are like 3 levels. So you can do just the online program if you don't want to like talk to anybody or whatever. But I think the key is this, finding the support with other people who are going through the same thing, or who have been through the same thing, because we all encourage each other. We all have ideas. I mean, I have my members have great ideas and great thoughts. I love our group coaching. So the second level, you can add on group coaching and meet with us once a month or a couple times a month. And then the third level is the ultimate. You move the fastest when you also have one-on-one support. So if any of that sounds great to you, get in my program and get in it now. I would love that.
And just to clarify, this is not a program just for people who are going through divorce, or are divorced, or lost a loved one to death. Like, this could be someone who is actively in a relationship, but wants to improve the quality of the relationship.
Yes, absolutely. I actually have a person in there who is in a relationship right now, and she's working on communication. Like, the modules are very, like, they're all for personal growth. They're all for personal growth, and they're, come ready to work on yourself. It's not just I'm just going to talk this through. It's not a bunch of talking and telling about our problems. It's like, okay, what are we going to do? Like, we're going to do self-reflection over here, and then we're all going to come together and decide how to work on things.
Okay.
So this program is specifically built for women. When I'm done with the beta launch for this, I am going to build one for men as well, but I haven't done that yet. Someday.
Do you have slots available in the beta launch too, or how can people sign up?
I do. So there's still 10 or 12 spots available in the beta program. And if you're kind of on the fence, or you're not familiar with what coaching is like, I actually decided this month I'm going to do, this is the month of February. We'll see how it goes in February if I continue, but I'm going to do just pop-up coaching sessions. My first one is going to be this coming up Tuesday on the 9th. So and they're going to be like small boutique sessions. So it's not going to be a whole bunch of people. It's just going to be Zoom meeting, me and a few other people. And we're going to dive in, and you can kind of see what coaching is like.
Okay. Okay. So you had mentioned that you have a giveaway for the audience. And would you like to share the details of that?
Sure. Oops. Well, I just did, actually. So the pop-up coaching session is my gift. This is something normally that I would charge for. I do charge for it, but people don't understand coaching. They just go, well, why don't I just go to therapy? Because it's different. It's different than therapy.
It doesn't have the same level of accountability. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's true. And I don't charge by the hour. This is very different. I'm with you every step of the way. We work a little bit, it's more like homework and worksheets and, diving in and actionable stuff and hot seats, and therapy is very talk based. And if you have a good therapist, they're also giving you some stuff to work on, but it's very, here's your time slot on the calendar. And that's not what coaching is like. So, so I'll send you the link so you can give it to people however you'd like. But but I would love to see people sign up. So the next one is Tuesday the 9th. But even if you can't come Tuesday the 9th, let's see, how do I want to do that? Well, I'm going to do them weekly. So you can reach out to me here on Facebook, or which I'm the Infinity Shift on Facebook and Instagram. So the Infinity Shift. And then, or on Clubhouse, my username is FinnieD, FINNIEDEE. So come find me. Talk to me.
You're so awesome. I've missed you.
Me too.
What's your, please share your website information too with the audience, but, and I'll be sure to repost it with the YouTube video.
Sure. That's,
what is it?
It's theinfinityshift.com. They got really creative.
That's easy to remember. I've told you before, but I absolutely love the name of your business. It's so poetic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, anyway, thank you for being my guest today. And those of you in the audience watching and those of you that have commented, we really appreciate your interaction. As a reminder, my name is Sarah. I'm the founder of Connect Our Elders, and my entire intention is to empower the aging process through education around resources, navigation through those resources, and ongoing advocacy. And as we can tell today by our conversation with Infinity, that also includes access to people like Infinity that can help, maybe an older adult who has lost a loved one, either to divorce later in life or to death. So Infinity, thank you so much for sharing your valuable information, and I'll catch up with you soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, Sarah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.